Okay, we're good to go.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the June 16th, 2025 meeting of the Whatcom County Fire Protection District 4 Board of Commissioners. We'll start with, I'll call the meeting to order and we'll move right to roll call. My name's Steve Cooley. I'm a commissioner.
Tim Johnson, Commissioner.
Mark Land, Commissioner.
Jason Vanderveen, Fire Chief.
All right, very good. Moving on to public comment. Chief, do we have anybody waiting for public comment?
No, sir.
Do not. Okay, so I will open and then close the public comment period. And we're moving on to the next item on our agenda, which is approval of the consent agenda. All matters within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the Board of Commissioners for review, are considered routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the board with no separate discussion. If a separate discussion is desired, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request. And our agenda today includes our minutes, or I'm sorry, our consent agenda today includes our meeting minutes from May 12th meeting, staff reports as usual from the chief, financial paperwork and voucher payroll and benefits, which this week our direct deposit payroll was $483. And we had one item on our monthly expenditure voucher, which was a $55 payment to our attorney. For a total expenditures for June, $538. Total revenues are $274,406.17. I will now entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I would move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson.
Second.
And then we have a second from Commissioner Land. Thank you. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. The consent agenda is approved. All right, moving on to unfinished business. First item on that list is the Britton Road Northern Heights annexation by the city of Bellingham. And we can kind of combine that with, well, no, we won't. So that's the first item on the agenda. Hopefully you all had a chance to read the summary of the meeting we had about that issue with the city. The chief and I went, I'm trying to find his notes in his cheat off. I'm going to cheat and use his. Yeah. So we had a meeting on June 5th with Deputy City Administrator Forrest Longman and a city attorney representative, Bellingham Fire Chief Bill Hewitt, myself, and Chief Mitch Knowles of South Whatcom was also there, and of course Chief Vanderveen. As you recall, the purpose of the discussion, or the purpose of that meeting, was to kind of open the door and start the discussion with the city on this 1997 agreement and the impacts that annexations have had on our district. To summarize, as the chief mentioned in his report, it was a good discussion. Everyone seems to be on the same page. Deputy Administrator Longman seemed to be very knowledgeable about fire districts in general, as well as the issues that we brought up. And the upshot of that meeting was that we all kind of agreed that the 1997 agreement needs to be redone. There are so many things about it that are no longer true. Entities, I believe, that are listed in it that are no longer entities. That the entire agreement probably just needs to be redrafted. So he directed the city attorney to start working on that. And as the fire chief said, he will work with Bill Hewitt and continue gathering background stuff for that. So I think the next step will probably be some sort of a draft that the city has come up with based on, what they see, and we'll end up getting back together to discuss that. So that's my quick summary of the meeting. Chief Vanderveen, do you have anything to add or expand upon?
I don't think so. Other than, I think that the city definitely saw when we laid it out, when we started looking at the individual annexations and described the impacts that those have on the district, and the fact that we still have to protect rural, we have the rural taxpayers who potentially could see their taxes unfairly rise based on, the city's continued annexations. That seemed to bring there was a glint of recognition in the deputy administrator's eye that that there, and I don't think that he didn't consider this before, but I think we brought home to him that there's consequences to their actions and that they need to tread maybe a little more carefully. So what I got out of the meeting was that there's a commitment to move forward to do what's best for all, as opposed to just for the city. So
Yeah, I would second that. I think the attitude of everybody in there was we just need to make sure we're all providing fire service to the public as efficiently and effectively as we can. And let's move forward and figure out what that looks like now in 2025. So, yeah.
and I think also in 1995, 1996, when they were negotiating this agreement, Bellingham didn't need the help of the fire districts. They were the biggest fish in the pond, and they didn't require any help. And that's completely flipped upside down now. And the deputy administrator was definitely even said that the city can't provide, it can only provide the fire service it does because of the fire districts and their contribution. And so there's that piece has changed too. So
So looking forward to positive things on that front moving forward. So, yeah. Any comments or discussion on that issue, gentlemen? Questions?
Was there much discussion about the terms of the agreement, like that the terms might change? I'm just thinking about what what triggers action by the city in terms of like paying us X amount for 3 years. I mean, were those sort of things discussed, or just more of a general, this is outdated, we need to update it?
We talked about a few specifics. We didn't get into specific numbers, but we definitely talked about a few of the items. What is it in section 7, or sorry, section 5 of that agreement? The key sections about the 60% and what is the
Yeah.
definition of 60%. And so we talked about some of those issues, but yeah.
and we did talk about the 3-year mitigation schedule that's in there.
Yes.
And
Yeah, we
that we didn't talk about, there was no talk of eliminating that with a new agreement or anything like that.
Okay.
No,
So,
sure not.
as far as from our position, Commissioner Cooley and I, the way we talked, that 3-year mitigation stays. That's not something
Yeah.
we're looking to exclude from
Right.
the agreement.
It will be interesting to see what comes out of all this, because as the chief described, or he sort of hinted at, the city's not really big on expanding much right now. They're not in that mindset, like the chief said, that we can just do everything. So yeah, it was good to see that attitude from them. So
Yeah,
Thank you for opening the
I
discussion.
agree with what you were, kind of your take from the meeting, Steve, where, there seemed to be consensus about everybody wanting to move forward and what's best for everybody and the most efficient fire protection services and all that stuff. I agree with all that. I'm just a little bit deeper in the weeds thinking, if I'm representing people from our district and I want to be a little bit more of a advocate for, our district, do we consider a strategy, or do we actually start maybe naming things that if there's an opportunity here to rewrite an agreement, what maybe has been left out that would be important to us, or what maybe should we try to include that would be important to us, leverage maybe some of the stuff that we have. I don't know. I'm just sort of thinking out loud here. At what point, would we want to get maybe some outside advice? what maybe might our attorney think would be important to have in a new agreement. I wasn't at that meeting. Maybe you and Jason already talked about all this stuff, but I'm just kind of spitballing here, thinking that, you know, maybe we have an opportunity to ask for some things, but maybe we don't. It's just, again, just sort of a discussion. If see if anything sticks there.
Yeah, we had a good discussion with the attorney before the meeting. I think it was the day before, right, Chief?
Yes.
We had a good online discussion with him, and he provided us with some talking points that kind of address a little bit of what you're saying, Mark, about some of our concerns with the current agreement and some of our thoughts about things in general. Kind of a basic, this is sort of where we see we are right now. So yeah, did the other two commissioners get those talking points by any chance, Chief?
They did not. I can send them to them right
Yeah,
now.
we can send them to you so you can at least see kind of what we were using as a.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds like you were doing exactly what I was just talking about. So yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, but you bring up a good point. I didn't get the impression that it's the city's going to go draft an agreement and come back to us with a draft. I think there's going to be more opportunity along the way, right, Chief, but between you and Bill Hewitt, working with the city attorney and sort
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I just sent you all the email from Mr. Quinn.
Great.
Yes, although I would, you know, the contract negotiation side of me would welcome a draft from the city, because then we can see exactly what
Yeah.
their positions are on everything, instead of stabbing around in the dark and, you know, spending a bunch of money and time trying to figure out what their end game is. So
Yeah.
if they're willing to provide us just a draft of how they see it, and then we work backwards from there. It's, I guess, the fallback position is the current 1997 agreement, right?
Mhm.
That's where we're starting from. So
Yeah.
it seems as though we have a good protected position. It's certainly not, you know, at worst, we've got the 3-year mitigation piece,
Mhm.
and then, you know, move forward from there. I I do think that's one of the reasons that I had invited Chief Knowles from South Wacom. Um, District 2 is an original signature to the agreement. District 2 is not a thing anymore. It got dissolved when South Wacom Fire Authority was put together. But also, Chief, South Wacom Fire Authority is also Fire District 10, which is U Street Hill. Formerly, Fire District 10 was U Street Hill, which is now obviously in the city's GMA, and also Chuckanut, which leads down Chuckanut Drive, which butts up to the city in Ferndale. So he, Chief Knowles and South Wacom cover that south and that southeast side of the city, um, and District 4 covers that northeast side of the city. And then there was even talk of bringing in District 21, which I was sitting right there at the table, because we have northern boundaries with the city of Bellingham, and redoing all that. So that's what the city attorney and Chief Hewitt are going to go back and make sure that they've got every district that could be affected by city of Bellingham growth in the next 20 or 30 years, and start from the 1997 agreement and move forward. Again, because the city is starting to realize, the city realizes that they can't do it all by themselves, at least when it comes to fire protection, and EMS. And so it's going to take multiple agencies to do this. And also, they're being forced to infill. That's the state's direction in the Growth Management Act. So really, the days of the county or the city, you know, making these huge swaths of, you know, urban, what do you call it, urban growth area, are probably gone, at least for now, in this next planning session. So, I think, yeah, we'll see. But I'm in pretty constant contact with Chief Hewitt, so we'll keep talking about this. But it's going to take a few sessions of sitting down and talking before we hammer this thing out and bring a draft even back to the board, I think. I want to say the first agreement, it took 2 years to sort that out. So
Yeah, hopefully we can get it done quicker, but oh, I was going to say something. It just, Mark, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it sure did. Appreciate it.
Okay. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Yeah. And as far as the annexation itself, the current one that we're talking about, the deputy administrator did not, there was no, we don't know if it's going to pass or not. So there's no, it's not like it's a done deal and this annexation is going to happen. The vibe that I got was, it's still very much up in the air. So is that consistent, Chief, with what you
that's
seen?
what I took
Yeah.
from it as well.
Yeah, I don't want to represent his position or anything. And he didn't state one way or the other. He just simply said that, it's by no means done. So at this point, so we'll see. But as we know, we're going to move forward. And we all agreed there at the meeting that regardless of the status of that annexation, we need to we need to address this stuff anyway. So it was just a good catalyst for us to get going and resolve or develop a new agreement. So anything else on this particular topic?
There wasn't like a next meeting kind of a save the date sort of a thing set for next time. It's just sort of open-ended. Everybody just goes back to their respective corners and starts thinking about stuff.
Yes, there was not a specific date set. Chief, I think
Okay.
we'll rely on you to, again, communicate with Bill Hewitt and get a sense for where the city is at and maybe
Yes.
here in the next few weeks, schedule something at least to,
Yep.
for
He
like
did.
a press check.
The deputy administrator did task the city attorney and Chief Hewitt with some things, and then wanted to get an update from them. And then my understanding was we'll schedule something after that. I will keep in contact with Chief Hewitt and we'll let you know.
Yep. Great. All right. Last call for discussion on this agenda item. All right. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to Chief. Do you just want to take the tender and fire engine purchase all in one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing, just too many other things to work on it. But I do want to let you know that we've hired, North Waukem's hired a deputy chief who's been on board about a month now and doing amazing. Tony Melillo, he's from South Waukem Fire Authority.
Yep.
And he's getting his feet underneath him. And I would expect that over the next month or so, we'll get some forward movement on that when now I can breathe.
Good. Sounds good. Anything on those two agenda items, gentlemen, before we move to the last one?
Nope.
Okay.
Oh.
Seeing nothing, moving to the last one, the Station 12 exterior project. Chief, I saw in your notes that we were told by the county that the permits will be ready next week, which
Next week. Yes.
So,
The contractor was there this last week
Yeah.
down at the permit office checking, and I'm now understanding what everything I see on social media, the frustration I see from constituents on social media. Apparently, because this is a quote unquote commercial project, they have to have a permit. I've filled out numerous forms, numerous papers on behalf of the district, trying to get it, get things done for Bob. We've had super quick turnaround here. Apparently that office in the county just moves glacially slow. There's no excuse.
Yep.
That's the status.
So
Bob's ready to go once we get the permit.
Okay. That's good to know. All right. Discussion, questions on that issue? All right. Good that we have that deputy chief on board that you were saying
Yes.
to take some of the load off of you. Okay, that's it for unfinished business. We don't have any new business listed. Does anybody have anything they'd like to bring up and discuss? Seeing nothing.
Not me.
Oh, okay, great. Seeing nothing, and we'll move on to correspondence, which I don't think, there wasn't any in the packet. So then the next item is our next board meeting is July 14th. I believe I'm available. So
I am too.
great.
Yep, looks good right now.
Okay, yeah, right now, exactly. Okay, we'll carry over the same issues for the next agenda or for the next meeting. Any items you all want to put on the next meeting agenda at this point? Nothing. Okay, good. All right,
Additional.
that leaves us with, make sure we go sign the documents and anything else for the good of the order. All right, I will call the meeting adjourned and ask you all to have a very nice day.
Yep. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks. Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
Take care.
I will,
See ya.
I'll probably, I'll swing by and pick up docs tomorrow morning about 9:30 or so.
Sounds good. I'll head down right now.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.